Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally updating my Taylor Swift Project Pan. I started this project back in August and basically themed every product around a different Taylor Swift song. I obviously am a huge Taylor Swift fan, so this has been a lot of fun for me to do. This project ends on December 13th and I have 13 products, of course, to use up or try to get as much use out of it as possible before Taylor's birthday. So I'm not totally sure how much progress I actually have in this video, mostly because I have definitely been focusing on other products in other pans or in other projects rather than these particular products. That has started to pick up a little bit more recently. I know I still have a lot of work to do on most of these products, but I'm hopeful that I will pick it up a little bit more now that we're in fall and now that I have a better grasp on how I want to incorporate these products into my collection. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first product was a red lipstick, obviously, and for that I picked this Sephora Mini Cream Lip Stain. This is in the color 01, so it's just a red color, pretty classic red. It's what I have on my lips right now. So obviously this only has what, 0.04 fluid ounces, and I've honestly only used this about twice since I started the project, mostly because it is a red lip, so it's not something that I can just wear every single day. But I do notice that there is definitely less product, not enough to mark, and I'm not sure I will ever be able to mark this product just because of the way that the product clings to the sides, but I do feel like there is less when I like move the applicator around. I definitely feel like I'm making progress with this. It's a very liquidy product, so it's pretty easy to use a decent amount on each application. So I'm hopeful. I'm not totally sure I'll be able to use up every single little bit of this before December, but now that we're getting more towards holiday time, I definitely reach for a red lip a lot more. So hopefully this is gone by Taylor's birthday. We'll see. Next up we have Fearless, a product that makes you feel fearless, obviously. And for this I kind of explained that, you know, bold lips and bold eyes make me feel fearless, but to go along with those I wear bold brows, so because of that I chose my ABH Dip Brow in Taupe. This is also in my 2018 pan, and because of that I definitely am making more progress on it. You probably won't be able to tell how much I actually have because I have kind of scooted some of the product away from the huge bunch of it. So I definitely had a lot more empty, I guess I had more pan on this earlier this week, but because of the way that I have been using it, I kind of had to spread it out a little bit more so it's not as noticeably panned. But I definitely don't think I will be using this up by December, but I did want to throw this in here and just try to, like, you know, double my encouragement to continue to use this, especially since I picked up a Goof Proof brow pencil in the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale. So there's a part of me, like the lazier part of me, that wants to continue to reach for that because it is easier than this. But I do use this on a regular basis and have been pretty happy with the way my brows have looked with this, so I don't really have any complaints with this. Next up, this is why we can't have nice things, a broken product. I picked my Snob lipstick that's also in my 2018 pan and probably in like my other pan as well, but this is broken because it did fall off its little pedestal quite a while ago and is melted all over the inside of the tube. But as you can probably tell, or will be able to tell within the pictures, I do have quite a bit of progress with this and I'm super excited about that. I was kind of losing hope that I was going to be able to use this up by the end of the year, but now that hope is restored. I'm using this pretty much on a daily basis. It's like my new go-to work shade, so it's not difficult to use up, which I'm pretty excited about, and I'm hoping that within the next month or so this will be gone and I can just celebrate knowing that. Next up we have my only empty product, and that is for Gorgeous, a product with gorgeous packaging, and for this I picked my Becca First Light Priming Filter Mini. This is 0.2 fluid ounces, so it's not big at all, so it wasn't too hard to use up. I actually used the last of it today, the last like little teeny tiny bit that was left in this. You can see where I started. This obviously wasn't a full sample because this was new when I started, but as far as this goes, I really don't like it. I really don't like either of the Becca like First Light or This one's the first light. What's the other one? Backlight. I don't like either of them. I just don't feel like they look the greatest on my skin. I do have combo oily skin, so that can kind of go against what I need as far as this goes. I also felt like I could really feel this and see this on my skin, which I don't love in a primer. So as far as repurchasing this or tracking down a full size, I'm not interested in it. I'm so happy it's gone, especially because the foundation I have been panning in this project does not sit well over top of this, at least not on my skin, so I'm just happy this is gone. Next up, we have Style, a classic product, or a product you'll never get sick of, and for me that is my Urban Decay Naked Palette, the discontinued love of my life. So this, I just picked out one shade to try to use up by December 13th, or hit pan on, not use up. And for that, I picked Toasted, which is right here. So before I had really picked this shade out, I wasn't really reaching for it. I would use it every once in a while, but I definitely preferred the like first half of this palette to this part of the palette. Picking Toasted was actually a really good decision for me because I've realized it's not what I thought it was. I feel like this palette is set up kind of strangely in that I wish Toasted was closer to these shades because I think it works really well with them, and in my head, because I've had this since I was like 15, these were like darker, more, you know, depth producing shades, where Toasted definitely isn't and can definitely be used in conjunction with these, especially like Sidecar looks amazing over top of Toasted because they kind of just have the same, not tone, but look on the eyes. I also watched Kat from Beauty News. She did a 1 month one palette with the Naked palette and was talking about how she used Toasted all over the lid, and I have started to do that upon her recommendation, and I do love the way that looks, and it's definitely causing me to use up more of the shade. So I'm really happy I decided to use Toasted for this pan because it's making me discover how much I do really enjoy the shade, which is awesome. We are never getting back together, a product you will not be repurchasing after you finish it up or declutter it, and that is my Naked Basics. So I have started to use this fairly regularly. It's just not something that I love, and I'm pretty sure this is discontinued, and if it's not, it's probably close to being. But it's a nice palette. It's a really nice, simple palette. I used it on my eyes today, and that's pretty much all I put on, which is, I mean, it's good for that when you just want like a wash of color, just a little bit of definition on your eyes. So it's good for that, but I don't really find myself regularly reaching for it without having to be like, it's in my pan. Unless it's the shade WOS, which is this cream colored shade. I use this to set my primer, or if I put concealer over top of my eyelids before laying down shadows. This is perfect for that. It's like my exact skin tone, so it just evens out any kind of discoloration while also setting whatever base I put in place, and I've been loving it for that. Naked 2 is still one of my favorite shades. It's a nice transition shade for me. The other ones, however, are kind of take it or leave it for me. I use them, but they're not something that I'm gonna miss when I decide to part with this. But yeah, it's going pretty well. Obviously, I'm trying to pan a lot of eyeshadows, but obviously the Naked and the Naked Basics work well together, so that's fairly simple. It's been a struggle to remember to use it and to make it a habit to use this. Next up, we have Red, a red product, and for that I had picked my Deborah Lippmann My Old Flame nail polish. I have been using this exclusively on my toes since August, and honestly, because of the way that my toes don't really need to be redone that often, I've probably only used this about twice since starting the project, and I definitely thought there was less in here than there really is. I wasn't able to mark it at the beginning, and I still don't think I'll be able to mark it, but it did settle at one point, and I was like, oh wow, because it was like basically like here, and I might actually be able to mark it now, but I have a lot left of this, so this is definitely not something I'm going to be able to use up by December 13th, but I will continue to reach for it, use it on my toes, use it on my fingers a couple times, especially when we get toward Christmas and stuff and I want to do more holiday nails. This will be really good for that. I'm just definitely doubting I will be able to use up all of it by the end of this project. I Knew You Were Trouble, a product that had negative reviews, but you got it anyway, or whatever. This is the Milk Cooling Water, and I'm gonna be honest, I have not touched this. I had a huge plan that when I was in Florida, I would put this in my perk bag and just use it to like cool down when I was getting hot. And I did that and I never pulled it out. So now I'm kind of stuck with it being like, what do I do with you now? I know some people put this under their eyes as a little wake up in the morning, but I've also heard that it can be kind of greasy and I don't want to do that. So I should just try it one day that I'm not doing anything and see what it does. And if it works like that, I'll continue to use it like that. I just have to figure out a way to make this work for me. I don't know if I'll be able to use all of it up because of the fact that I'm struggling finding a use for it, but I definitely think I'll be able to let this go at the end of the project. Next up, we have Bad Blood, a product that you at one point really liked and now have bad blood with it, basically. So for this, I picked a Kat Von D product for obvious reasons. I haven't marked it yet, but I do believe that I have made a decent amount of, oop, that's upside down, a decent amount of progress with this. I use this every single time I do my makeup, and I'm feeling good that I will be able to use this up by December 13th. I used to think that this didn't make my makeup ever look cakey, and I take that back completely now because there are times when I'm like, what the hell did that just do? So that's one thing that I'm kind of happy I won't have this in my collection anymore for very many reasons, including the bad blood with Kat Von D, but also just kind of falling out of love with the product in general. But I definitely think it's possible because I don't have too much left of this. Next up, we have 15, a product you loved when you were young. For that, I have my Lady Gaga, or Viva Glam Gaga lipstick from MAC. This was the first ever MAC lipstick I ever owned, and I loved it. I wore it like crazy back then. As I've said a couple times whenever talking about this lipstick, I do not wear this nearly as much as I used to, nor do I understand how this was an everyday color for me because it's very pink. Even though, yeah, it's a luster, and I don't even like that, like, formula from MAC, but this was like my favorite. This is like the only luster I own, but I loved it. I am definitely struggling using this. It's just not something I reach for. It's not something I really like want to use. So I definitely believe that at the end of this year, I will either be decluttering it or just putting it away in a sentimental makeup place and not keeping it with my collection because it's very old and just not getting the use that it used to. Next up, we have mine, an all-time favorite product, and for this I picked my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte foundation. I was right here when we started, and now I can't really mark it because we've gone down below this black mark right here, so I'm somewhere underneath this little black mark, but I have been using this non-stop for the past month. Every time I have foundation on my face, this is what I have on. So I am definitely trying to use this up before I use up my Jouer one in my other project, just because I like this one a lot more, to be honest. As far as this goes, I just feel like it's starting to go off in that it doesn't sit on my skin quite as nicely as it did before. It's not awful, but it's not as great as it used to be. It also could have a lot to do with the primer I've been using, that Becca primer. It just doesn't mix well with this, in my opinion, on my skin. So I do just need to refine my perfect primer for this because there was a time, actually only a couple months ago, where this was like my favorite thing on my skin. It just looked beautiful and I want to get back to that. I have been using this like non-stop though, so I need to start experimenting more now that the primer is gone. But yes, continue to love this and we'll definitely be buying a new one when I finish this one up. Next up, we have Should Have Said No, a product you regret purchasing. For this, I picked my Laura Geller Baked Highlighter in French Vanilla. It's not that this is a bad product by any means, it's just not something that I was ever reaching for until I put this in this pan, and now, ooh, it's gotten everywhere. I would show you, but like, it kind of like, I don't know, I get a lot of fallout after I use it. Like, I'll open it and it'll just have a bunch of powder and I don't know why. I do use this pretty regularly now. If I want to use a more blinding highlight, I've kind of gotten in the habit of laying this down first, or just using this on its own when I have like work or something like that to go to. So it's really not been difficult to use. I just don't think by any means I will be able to use this completely up by December 13th. There's a lot of product in here and I don't use much when I use it. We have Glitter Guitar, a glittery product that reminds you of Taylor's famous glittered guitar, which is like my favorite thing ever. And for this, I had picked the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops in Moonlight. I have not used this since I put this in this project, but now that the primer's gone, I think I might be more likely to pick this up to like add glow or to experiment a little bit more with how I can use this, just to see like adding it to foundation, adding it to primer, using it as a primer, stuff like that, or even liquid highlight, which I don't do a lot, so probably won't use it for that much. But I'm excited that I can now kind of experiment with this, see how I like it, if I like it, and hopefully use up the small amount that is in here, but I feel like a little bit goes a long way with these, so we'll see. So that is the first update for my Taylor Swift Project Pan. Comment down below anything you're trying to pan. Comment down below your favorite Taylor Swift song, because I definitely want to know. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye.